It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, the book was As the Matzo Ball Turns. You remember the book As the Matzo Ball Turns, and the music of play is As the Matzo Ball Turns. Now, what is this book all about? What does it mean? It's going to be a fun show, folks. On the show today, the author of the book, Josef Ronstein, who is alias Gene Duffy, and my good friend Dan DeMelfi. What's Dan DeMelfi doing here? You'll find out. Gene, thanks for coming on the Sam Lesante Show. Sorry that you have to be with Dan, but we have to, we have to bring him on because he knows something about music. Listen, when you were on the show before, we talked about the book As the Matzo Ball Turns, okay? But tell me a little bit about yourself, okay? Because there's a history there when you were in California and how these things evolved.
Yeah, well, I was pursuing fame and fortune out in Los Angeles, working in a deli, and these events, coming back from break and almost getting hit by Britney Spears' limo driver. And I never thought about writing them down. I just pretty much wanted to make it and survive through this, this place and, get on to a career in show business. And it didn't happen. So as I was leaving LA at 110 miles an hour, this idea hit me to write it all down.
Let's go back a little bit now. When you're at the deli, okay, because I've experienced this with Jack Palance. We were doing our show, and I could really relate to this, okay, to the actors that you saw. Some of the actors and actresses were whom?
Wow, it's a wide range. Adam Sandler, Jerry Seinfeld, Donald Sutherland, Anthony Hopkins. I saw Mr. T buying a deli sandwich. Jay Leno would come in after shooting. Sharon Stone waited on her Christmas Day. There was kind of a nightmarish story in there about her. Just pretty much just about anybody you can think of.
And you had Anthony Hopkins hit his head on the cupboard, right?
Yeah, there was a little goof of mine. I left the door open and went around to lead him around the corner, and he was talking to a friend of his and hit his head off the door. And, just little things like that happened. And again, I just found it, when I look back at it, I just found it a little odd. So I thought, hey, why not write it all down?
What did you think was going to happen? I mean, when you were there, okay, you see these actors, etc. And, some of them, like when we interviewed Telly Savalas and Martin Landau, you get when Jack and I, or Elaine and I, you get a different perspective, okay, who they were and who they are. Well, where do you feel the connection was going to be, Gene, with you being there? Where were you going to make your hit?
Well, I thought that when I got there, I was going to be trading in my little Mazda for a brand new Mercedes, and went around town and, was very excited. Thought people would, drop over dead to hire me, and it turned out everybody in LA.
Did you want to be an actor?
Yeah, that's what I set out to do. And by default, I then became an author and playwright and producer. And thank God it all happened, and I didn't kind of break into show business the way I had wanted, because it led to, what I'm doing now, which I think is much more gratifying. But the goal was to kind of be like these people that I was serving sandwiches to. And sometimes they were people that were, were worthy of that kind of consideration, and sometimes they weren't. And,
now, did you say, hey, you give them a card and say, look, do this, and
Well, indirectly, I would try to joke with them and stuff sometimes, or just try to, bounce some improv material off them.
Did you hire an agent?
Well, I applied for several, and it's. There's a whole thing in the book I talk about where submitting to an agent, the process, and usually get a call from them, not the week you're checking your phone every 2 minutes, but it's when you're about to hang yourself from your shower in your rundown apartment. I worked real hard at getting one. Sometimes I had some. Sometimes the one guy couldn't even get the address of the auditions right, and you go out there thinking there's going to be the one from ICM or something's going to take you on and hound Tarantino to get you in for an audition, and you end up going to meet with this person at like some rundown theater in the middle of a sketchy part of town.
It's always that one break you need, and then that's what, when you get that one break, then it starts. Well, you had that experience, okay, and so now what was the transition from your experience in California, dealing with a lot of people trying to make it big, coming into the fact that you wrote this book As the Matzo Ball Turns, and how did you get the title of How the Matzo Ball Turns?
It started as a joke at the restaurant. It seemed like every week there was something kind of out of the ordinary happening or something very dramatic. So, today I'd be like, on As the Matzo Ball Turns, 3 drag queens argue over who should pay the bill. Or today, on As the Matzo Ball Turns, Samantha's boyfriend leaves her for another man. So it was just kind of that. And I never thought about doing anything with it. But then as a writer, I was always about title. Title was always very important to me. Four Feathers was a movie like, I don't care if it's the best movie in the world, I'm thinking about pillows. So title was always a strong thing, and I thought the title was catchy, so I started to think of how I could lay the book out. And also turn what could be considered a negative, 10 years of my life spent pouring myself into an industry that really didn't have any use for me, into something very positive and would make people laugh and would also make people realize, because most people in life are struggling and are trying to get to a better place in life, and they have to go through all this stuff to get there, and that's basically what this book is.
So you always want to be in show business, correct?
Yeah, well, I always had a knack for it, and I always did creative writing as a kid and stuff, and it was really what I should have been doing my whole life, but I took a couple detours here and there. But
so
yeah.
What does the book tell me? What does this book tell me as the Matzo Ball Turns?
Well, it's hopefully it's kind of punch you in the stomach funny, and I hope it's a good experience, because I really went for the throat when I wrote it to really just go brash, just try, because I think you have to take a little bit of a risk. And make the material kind of brash if you really want people to laugh out loud. So I did that, but I think it offers a unique perspective, and I think a very realistic perspective on how everything operates. And it looks at entertainment, and today we kind of put people on pedestals who do this for a living. And honestly, I don't know, is their point of view really worthy of, and is all this praise worthy of the praise they get? I think, I don't know, they're selling us stuff all the time. They're selling us maybe even a certain agenda. And I like to take a look back and question things. And that's basically what the book ultimately does. It questions everything in a fun way.
You find, and I was fortunate, you find when you're dealing with these actors, you admire them for what they do. Mm-hmm. Jack Palance was the kind of guy that did not like to give autographs, okay? Mm-hmm. Because he felt that's my job, etc., and it would frustrate me because people got mad at him for that. But he'd take a picture with you, mm-hmm. and he'd sit there and talk with you, etc. But his persona, in acting. So you find these actors that are really good, but it's what is the character off stage?
Right.
So you saw characters off stage. Did you learn anything from this experience that you put into the book?
Yeah, I did, and I'd like to go back and say, though, also I respect anybody that hits a high level in anything they do, and it's fun, and acting is an art. It's really an amazing craft that takes a lot of years of study to really perfect, and it is, at times they are worthy of their salaries, but outside of that, sometimes as people, they're not always the nicest people, and you never know what you're going to get. Like, one person that surprised me was Tom Arnold. Like, I never cared for his public image or his persona, but he came in the restaurant one night when I was very busy, really was in kind of a hurry, but was a complete gentleman, was very nice, went out of his way to say goodbye, left a very nice tip. So that kind of thing goes a long way. When like what I saw from him as a public figure didn't really excite me, but then I really grew to respect the guy, so.
In this book, okay, what are some of the highlights? Because from the book evolves the play, the musical play, and that's when DeMelfi gets involved. Mm-hmm. What are some of the key things in this book that you think will be exciting when I go and see your musical play?
Oh, right away I think of our drag queen sequence. It's just when you see this, you're going to love it. The people we found in the Allentown area to play these characters and stuff really bring this thing to life. And where there was a drag queen bar next to the deli called the Queen Mary, and it's just a little, it's a few pages in the book, but it really became a couple scenes in the show, and it was called the Queen Mary, and these performers would come over, and the place would erupt into chaos whenever they would come in, and all kinds of hooting and hollering, and you get people that would want to challenge the drag queens and try to provoke them and try and start a fight. So we tried to capture that in the play. So I think it's kind of fun. And
what was the name of the deli you worked for?
It was Jerry's Famous Deli.
Is it still there?
Yeah, it's now in Florida and all over the place. So people know it, especially in LA. It's a popular place, 24/7. So during the day you're catering to the entertainment crowd, and then around midnight it turns into a pumpkin, and you got all the riffraff and the LA party scene coming in.
That's when DeMelfi comes in. Yeah, the riffraff comes in.
Yeah, good segue. Yeah.
It's happy hour.
Well, so you took the book, okay, and the book is called "As the Matzo Ball Turns," folks. You had a dream, and you developed a dream, and so then when you took this book and you start having the musical part of it, that's where Dan DeMelfi becomes involved, correct? Folks, I'm talking to Gene Duffy, who wrote the book As the Matzo Ball Turns, and turned this into a musical, and you're going to be able to see this musical January the 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Jim Thorpe High School. And for mature audiences, not a lot of bad things in it, but mature audiences would really enjoy it. Tickets are at the door. Eventbrite.com is where you can get the ticket. How can I buy the book? Where can Amazon?
Amazon, I think Barnes & Noble still carries it online. So yeah.
It's an interesting. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, you can watch all of our programs on ssptv.com. My email is sam@ssptv.com. And for the people in the greater Hazleton area who are watching us on Service Electric, remember we're on Channel 13 and our HD channel 513. In Comcast 190 in the Pottsville area every day. We're on 190 in the Wilkes-Barre, Kingston area and Mountaintop. Channel 92 Saturday and Sunday evenings from 7 to 11. In Lackawanna County, Comcast 190, Saturdays and Sunday mornings from 8 to 12 p.m. With our programming. My guest today is Gene Duffy, who wrote the book. His pen name is Joseph. Joseph Rothstein. How he got that name, I have no idea. And Dan DeMelfi, who is the musical advisor here. So, all right, so now you wrote the book. Where does the musical part come in, and where does Dan DeMelfi come in?
That's a good question.
That's why I asked that.
I just always saw it as a musical. Like once it was written, and a few people came back to me and said that would be a good idea. Also, maybe a TV series or something. I thought of it kind of like the Love Boat, where if a celebrity shows up every show or something. And and I think in terms of movies sometimes. So. The musical just really grabbed me, and I started to come up with like little melodies in my head, and I just thought it would translate really well on stage. So I thought, yeah, why not? And it's my buddy that put the drums down for this. He's in a band called Monster Magnet, and he said, with today's digital age, people download stuff and download their music, so they're not making money on that. But it's almost like they have concerts to sell T-shirts. And I thought of the same thing, like the book, it's hard as an independent artist, unless you're on Ellen, to really have people go out in mass quantities to buy the book. So I'm like, I really fell in love with the book and thought it would be a good read. And I guess wanted another way to create a brand name.
So the musical, you turned this into a musical. Mm-hmm. Okay. So how do you know Danny, and where does Danny come in?
Well, it was dumb luck, actually. I was looking for studios because I wanted to come in with some singers and just kind of hash out some melodies and stuff that I was thinking of. And I was looking online, and I found Captain Blue Records, which is Taylor Sapp, who works out of Danny's studio. So I went in, and I had some people from Hazleton said, "Oh, yeah, Danny DeMelfi's a talented musician and stuff." And I met Danny, and there was just something. It wasn't even like I knew much about him. There was just some sort of connection and something. As I learned to find out later.
Because of who you associate with.
Right. But there was something about Danny's. There's something told me this is the guy. Ask him, and I did. And I don't know if he was a little reluctant at first, or didn't know where I was really coming from with it all. But we decided to set up a working relationship where maybe we just did a song or two and we'd see how it went.
So, Danny, how did you get in? I mean, what did you think when he was presenting this?
Well, actually, Gene came in one night in our conference room outside the studio, and he had some people from Hazleton, and he was talking about all these things that were going on. I was on my way out. I'm going, okay, well, what's this guy all about? And then subsequently, he asked me to transcribe some of these songs, and he gave me a CD that had 2 songs on it. What he did, he went into our studio with Taylor and recorded bass tracks and sang little melodies, bits and pieces of things. And I listened to it, and I said, okay, well, I can transcribe this. So I had to take it finish the melodies, construct everything, make it harmonically right, make it rhythmically right. What I would do, I would sit with the CD that he recorded and listen to it and write really quickly with the pencil on some staff paper, and then erase and edit and do different kind of things. And once I would get the finished product, I'd take it to him, play it, we'd make sure it was exactly correct, and then I would take it to the computer I have at school, and I would transcribe, or I would use Finale software, and I had to click and drag every note and every word and every chord and everything like that, and make it into a song sheet. Beyond that, then we would go into the studio. Once the songs were complete, we'd go into the studio, and Gene would be there, myself and Taylor, and I would play all the parts. I did all the keyboard parts, most of the bass parts, the keyboard bass, horns, strings, organ, anything else that he wanted to put in this song. And a lot of it, he would give me ideas while we were in the studio. Could you put this sound in? Could you put that sound in? And then eventually he and Taylor would get together and edit it, and the songs came out. Now, when he first came to me, I really thought the guy was whacked. I will tell you that honestly. I tell him this all the time. I get this CD with songs like Bobby the Gay Mafia Boss and the Gefilte Fish Blues, which, by the way, is one of my favorite tracks. And you know, I told him later on, as I got in this project, and there was no returning because I knew I had to finish this. It took me 11 months actually to get everything done. The idea, I read the book was hilarious, okay? Because it has a great niche. What happens, most people, or a lot of people, want to go to Hollywood and become a movie actor, want to be a movie star, like you. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's funny, it takes a comical look at a serious, very serious subject that a lot of people probably ruin their lives over when they fail. But then it gives it a comic spin, but also it gives you an insight to the harsh reality of trying to do that. Okay, so it makes you laugh, but it also makes you stop and think. And his determination is what attracted me to the project. Because this guy he'll go knock on the door of the White House. This guy, you know, he'll do anything to get this play off the ground. And I know, just in dealing with him the last year or two, the frustrations that he's come up with. And I kept telling him, gee, you know, you have to find 15 to 20 people who are dedicated, and he finally did.
The interesting thing, Danny, is you take a book, mm-hmm. then you have to put music from the book, okay? Right. And then it's like, is it upbeat music? Is it sad music? Is it funny music? Is it loud music? I mean, this has to be matched to what is in the book, yeah. Correct?
Yeah, well, he gave me all the ideas. He gave me all the, you know, what was where. You have everything in this, from rap to blues to just silly songs. I mean, I think there's 23 altogether. Mm-hmm. All right, it runs the gamut of all different kind of musical genres, and I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see the play.
Are you involved with the process of the music?
No, I'm going to be in the audience throwing popcorn at him.
Okay, yeah. So is it an orchestra, or do you have?
We're going to run a can track for this because it's just
that's we did at the studio.
The pre-recorded stuff, just because we're at this level right now. You know, we want to get it up on its feet, and adding a whole element of, you know, a pit and stuff would be a little much right now.
I asked you this before we did the show. Every time I do a show and I talk to some people and I ask them, I said, well, okay, after the show is done, after the Sam Lesante show is done with our guest, what would you want the viewers to get from this show? Okay, so what would you want our viewers to get from the book, As the Matzo Ball Turns, and now the musical, which will be January 13th and 14th, 13th, 14th, 15th at Jim Thorpe High School? What do you think now I know we can get different interpretations from it. I mean, but what is the key thing that you would like to get across?
Well, there's two things. I think it asks a lot of questions. I always like to question things. I think it takes a look at the whole entertainment industry and gives you a peek inside, and also, you know, it questions everything going on in today's world. You know, why are things the way they are, and it takes a little bit of a look at that. But at the end of the day, I think it's an inspiring story of someone that tries to make it in something, and whether they succeed or not, they learn a lot in the process and have a rich experience because of it. So that's basically.
Your character is the main character in the play.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a amped up me, maybe a little more punched up, but it's all the experience that.
So do you show the journey then from this person who is you throughout the book, and you show the journey of what he is doing?
Sure. Yeah, he starts out. He's a little bit phobic of a lot of things, and he starts out. That's how he starts the show, and then he has this inner voice played by a woman, because women are always right? So
yeah, no question about it.
And the woman we have, Kate Hughes, is hilarious. She's great when you see this, and she's brought a lot. Like, the thing is about this cast I found, they all bring such brilliant things and talent that I hadn't even thunk of back when I started casting. So she brings some really cool things. I don't even want to spoil it, but so she, is his inner voice. So he's a little bit down on himself, and she, is the driving force behind him that forces him to go out to LA, and then he starts his journey.
The interesting thing about what you're doing about this play and the dedication of the players and the musician or putting together, I always enjoy off-Broadways. It's like I'm not a great sports guy with professional football, but I like high school because these are the people that really give it their all. Okay, so when you go to off-Broadway, they're just giving it, And so I think this musical that you did along with this book, and correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, you're going to see some great talent. You're gonna really be entertained, because sometimes people, there's not on Broadway, but off Broadway sometimes you get some real good plays. I'm talking to Gene Duffy, folks. He wrote the book As the Matzo Ball Turns. Pen name is Joseph, right? Rothstein. How he got that name, I have no idea. And Dan DeMelfi, who is put the musical talents into this particular play. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. The name of the book, As the Matzo Ball Turns, and the musical is called As the Matzo Ball Turns. I'm here with the director, playwright, and the music coordinator, or put this together, Dan DeMelfi, Gene Duffy. Gene, when you put this book together, the play together, you had to go out and find people, okay? So we got 2 minutes left. How'd you find the great people that you have?
Well, I was all over Northeast Pennsylvania. Honestly, I was on websites. I know, I should have.
I just don't want to throw that up, but that's okay.
We had audition notices everywhere. We brought lots. And the thing about this area, it has tons of talent. It was really exciting meeting everybody. Some were right for the show, some weren't. But the main thing we were trying to sell, and Danny and I had talked about it, is it's an original. It's something fresh. And my inner desire was to find 19 people who were committed, wanted to take a risk on something, and wanted to see how far we could take it. And it's a difference between doing something that's established, like I don't know, any show, Assassins comes to mind, or you have this show that's been done, it's had its day in the sun on Broadway and stuff, but here's this original thing that we can all kind of pitch in, develop, work together and grow with, and then take it around and see what we can do with, and see if we can turn some heads and
well, if you got Danny DeMelfi involved, you got yourself a great guy, because Danny is really tuned in, and I'm very happy to say he's my friend for many, many years. He's there. I don't think Danny would get involved with anything that he would not feel is good and wholesome. Am I correct, Danny?
Absolutely. And there were many times Gene would be very discouraged. I'd get a late night phone call, and I kept saying I had to talk him off the ledge again, because I said, hang in there. You got something good here. You're going to find the people. And when Sarah, I haven't met Sarah yet, but when she came on board, just from what I'm seeing on Facebook and all that, she kind of took the reins here and took a lot of the pressure off him. So I think that's what he needed.
Well, next time I interview you, I want to make sure that you're a big star. You have this on Broadway or off Broadway, whatever. And I want front row seats, or the best seats. Okay. Danny, thanks for coming on the show. I know you're busy. And Gene, nice. The best of success with this play. Okay.
Thank you.
The play is called As the Matzo Ball Turns, folks. It's a musical play. It'll be at Jim Thorpe High School. Jim Thorpe High School. You can get tickets at Eventbrite. That's eventbrite.com. January 13, 14, and 15, Jim Thorpe High School. It is going to be a wonderful opportunity for you to enjoy yourselves. We hope to see you there. I'm going to try to make it myself. Maybe I'll sit next to Danny and make sure, critique his work to see if he did it the right way. Once again, Danny, thanks for coming on. Gene, thanks for coming. The very best of luck to you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.